Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd do another video and get working on that starter CV some more. I believe I fixed my video settings, so you shouldn't have the black bar problem that you did on the past videos. Weird option in OBS Studio to fix that, I think. So it should be good now. What you're looking at here too is kind of a start of a Kriel drone base, something that another author suggested maybe I should take a look at making. Then I keep on bringing this one up, and man, the more I look at this one, I keep on thinking that this POI that I never actually finished, it's Kriel, but I keep on thinking it doesn't look very Kriel, and that's my problem with it. That it would probably fit into this newer faction quite a bit better with its architectural style and things like that. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. As in a drone base too, if I do go through and complete all this, it'll probably have an underground. So basically, I was just kind of like lining up where the floor would be, and then you got to do like a couple filler block thing, and then you can get to the underground of it. Obviously, I haven't touched the other side of this either. So I'm also trying to move the camera slower. I still gotta I still gotta move a little bit faster, but yeah. So sorry about that. I get used to doing my own editing, and I'm whipping the camera around all over the place. Because it's different. It's different when you're doing it as opposed to watching it. So there are some differences. So I'm just trying to fix up some things, and I appreciate the heads up on these things too. I sometimes easily forget or don't check the settings good enough. So this is exactly where the ship was left off last time, and I'm kind of borrowing some of the specs from other past starter CVs that I made. So I kind of know how many thrusters I can put on it and where the CPU is going to come out without, reinventing the wheel, I guess. When I made those, I had to do a lot of those testing things, but I already did, and the numbers didn't change that much. So anyway, um, let's get working on this some more. Now, the objective this time is to finish the hull, and I wanted to make it look kind of neat too. So I was thinking, what could I do on this ship to make the side area is really important. This is going to be where I want to have, some detail and give it a nice looking profile to the ship when it's done. And if I can get something in there to perk it up a little bit, I'm all for that. So let's start. So I got symmetry on. The first thing I was thinking about experimenting with is like a intake, like an intake, two-part intake. Like it intakes from one side and then it kind of collects the air from the other side, kind of like a vacuum. So um, here's my idea. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I'm going to try at first to put in some curvy things like this. I'm not sure if I should put them yeah, let's put them at this block row. So we'll pop in it here. Let me get the light on too, and we'll start there. And then on the back side, this is where it's getting interesting. So I'm going to go a couple full blocks on this row, and then we're going to go the opposite curve. But I'm thinking of the thin blocks here. Again, I don't know how this is going to work out. Just experimenting, trying to come up with ideas on how to make it look a little bit more spiffy. So I'm not totally on board with what I just did there, though, because it's got this big wall right there. It kind of makes it look like a failed intake. So what could be done with this wall? I guess we'll keep this curvy too. These are all these little things I like to figure out and screw with when I'm building stuff. How can you make it come out all right? Okay, so it tucks in, and then I want it to come out a little bit and look like it's sucking up air. Not for any particular reason besides hopefully it looks cool. And that is really the extent of it. So let's try this block here this time. So it's different, but it doesn't have that big wall on it. And then if we follow that through with a thin again here. And And then we want to back that up a little bit with some more curvy. But this time I'm just going to go solid because I do want it to be a wall here at some point. And probably just a solid full block on that row. And then we want to taper this in again. So I'm thinking about the old school block here. I don't know if I like that point there. Let's go with a different shape. Same idea, but different. Like that, maybe. And at the end of the day, does it look interesting or meh? Alright, let's try to accent it some more. Let's get some trim around the outer rims here. And I'm going to just do that with carbon. Keep the weight down. It's not important stuff. I'm going to go with some really thin blocks here. Well, you know, I can't go that thin because I don't have the alternative piece for that. So let's go with this size. Actually, I wanted to go with the thinner ones, but there is a block that's missing from the list that kind of prevents that from happening if you're going to have these come out and at a nice bevel angle. So let's say something like that. Let's see, and then here we can use these. Now there's this other group of like thin, but there's only a double, so there's not a single, and that's why I couldn't use the other block for this. Okay, so added some of that there. Now in the front here, could use some more something. So let's experiment with these blocks are pretty neat. I love the idea that it's kind of see-through, so you can put like a texture light or something in the little surface area of this block, which is definitely a nice thing. Sometimes I've used that quite a bit before. Let's just kind of keep it simple on both sides. Let's go back to steel and put in some regular blocks on the other side here, in towards where the farm would be. Alright, so now the front blocks here, there's not many options. God, dude. I don't mind this, I guess. Let's paint it all the same. Mass fill, white. So that design idea, you know, I probably ought to do the back before I judge, because sometimes it doesn't really come together until the whole thing's done. So so the back side, we've got that up front. I don't want to do the same thing, but I want to maintain this trim angle up here for continuity's sake. So when you look, you got like a break up, and then you got this line flowing here, and so on forth. These already kind of line up to that, which is great, but if we can accent a little bit more, maybe it'll come together. Again, experimenting. Experimenting is a big part of building in Empyrion too. It's like and it's kind of fun too. I mean, especially when you start to, when you know the base blocks, when you know those wedges and angles, which I put the most weight on, because once you know those, everything else kind of starts fitting together, and then you can start experimenting, coming up with all kinds of different block combinations and things like that. And it's not so bad anymore. But it's learning those the three different like angle wedge sets that are the most important thing with Empyrion blockworks and things like that. Okay, so we have that. I don't want to do that same shape again because that would get too repetitive. I want to get something else here that looks interesting though. Let's see what we got in the alternative block list here. Could try to make it look like there's some tanks or something here. That is one option. There's always a lot of options on what you do with every little area too. And if you don't like one thing that you do and you're willing to put the time into it, you can always change it. and dial it in. And sometimes I'll do that too. A lot of times I'll do that, actually. Not sometimes. Most of the time. So now that's okay. That would work really well with adding in, let's see, do I have the deco parts here? Let me grab the standard deco block. Oh, I did have them down there. See, now if I ran something like that, then you put this over the top of it, it would look pretty good because everything lines up nicely. I just don't know if I like that design there in the first place. And do I repeat this design through another space and have the same thing going on a second time, or do I try to mix it up and put in something different on the rest of this? And I'm going to try putting something different in here first, because if I can do that, I think in the end it would be a better thing. But I'm thinking a little bit about aerodynamics. Again, it doesn't matter in the game, but it's just an aesthetic I like to follow. So I kind of wanted the air, if it was, moving forward, to brush off this direction a little bit if possible. Obviously, these things are going to fail aerodynamics tests, but like if you're building an automobile or especially some kind of flying thing. Alright, and I did that. Oh man, and I did another mistake. I did all this with carbon. I wish there was a tool where you could just set it to what material you want the block to be, and it will just replace that block with that material. There's console commands where you can mass replace a whole bunch of blocks at once, or the whole design. But that doesn't help out so much when you're trying to just change little things. Like I screwed up and used the interior / deco material for hull material here, and now I've got to literally replace all these blocks to fix it. Glad I didn't texture it already. And alright, and then I place these backwards. I can kind of tell by the seam here. I want that angle, so we can texture that surface different than the other surface. And then back to where we were. Okay, so we've got that there. What can be done here? Okay, so I can go with cheap. This is cheap. This is a cheap thing. So I did a couple of those in formations, and then in this case, maybe we put a little something over it. Maybe on the front there, and then, I don't know. There's not many options for a thin block that is semi-see-through like this. So I'm going to try that for now. So I've got another thing here too. I've got an exposed thruster piece over in this section. Again, I don't know if I like that or not, but we'll see when it all comes out. But this piece here, I don't know if I really want this exposed. It is detailed, but could cover it up easy enough. Could either just slap in some thin blocks, whoops, like that right over the top of it now that it kind of matches up to this. And I use steel because give the thruster, I guess, a little bit more protection. Again, this is a starter ship. It's not a combat ship, so I don't want to like freak out and make it too combat-y. Wasn't really the intent of it. All right. Again, let me carry this line all the way to the back for now. And should I do these in steel too? Just those couple. Probably can't hurt. It's not too worried about the weight of this. I'm trying to. It's pretty lightweight all the way around anyway. So, of course, at the time too, I do have the bigger thrusters in here. They're kind of placeholders. These big thrusters would be swapped out for the littler ones, which are way lower CPU in the end. But it's nice to have the placeholders and upgradability to go to the bigger thrusters if you decide to do that in game, if you want to upgrade the ship or not. Oop. All right. So that's pretty uniform. A little boring. A little boring. Okay, one last section over here. Again, we've got three different things going on. We got this thing on the front. We got this thing and this thing on the back. And the last part here, I'm wondering if I should flare it out a little bit or not. I don't know. More of a transport look. I think I should probably not try to add any kind of wingy things here. I think it would be better if it was just kind of straight across. So how crazy do we want to be with this? Start out adding some full blocks in these. Whoops, screwed that up. We'll figure it out later. Okay, got that in place. God, it's just like it needs something else here yet. Can't just keep it just flat and boring. It's got to have some stuff going on. Whatever that stuff might be. Could like take it right down the center, do that, and then back over here. Bevel it out just a little bit. Maybe around where that thruster comes out at. And then what do we got for our half blocks that we can make this interesting with? Is there any good special half blocks that are semi see-through? Not really. Not really. Don't really want to leave like a big square hole in there either. I guess I could go with the simplest approach and just fill it in like that. A little boring. Might work though. Might work. Okay, now at the end here, how this trim meets up to the thruster, and how is this thruster going to be portrayed in the back. Now, stock, it'll have two smaller thrusters in these locations, and kind of placeholders basically to add in more thrusters. But what I was thinking, because that didn't line up, like if you look at the full formation, you'd actually kind of want either a 1x1 thruster or a 3x3 thruster, so it's centered in this group of blocks here. But since ultimately it would go to two 1x2 thrusters or a single 2x2x4 thruster, it's not going to line up. It's not going to be centered, and there's no way I'm going to make this area set up for a XL thruster. That would be pointless. So what I wanted to do is kind of flare it up on one side of the thruster and try to make it look like there's some kind of trim, like, I don't know, a thruster, I don't know, whatever you call that piece that kind of holds all the flames together. Man, I can't think. Oh my gosh. Jeez, I need to drink more coffee. Anyway, it needs something. It needs something to make this look neat. So that is the objective. So to start with, let's keep on running these side thin pieces down here. A couple more blocks, actually. I'll take that right to the edge. Or I can't really over here because of the angle I'm using there. That'll stick out like this and leave this little gappy thing which looks terrible. So, no, can't do that on that. So I'm going to have to close it down before it gets there again. Or figure out a different block. Something that could work. So let's really go off the wall here and try some half round blocks and see if that can do anything worthwhile. I don't think it will. That doesn't really line up with the other part. I got no way to, there's no block that would go from this down to thin either. You can only end this with one of these blocks over here. It's the only thing that kind of like works with this situation, at least. But if I do that, then it kind of goes up over the edge of the rear block, and I don't like that. So, but we gotta try. We gotta try. So let's put this in. Let's see if there's something that can be done with these blocks to make them work. So the objective is to find a block that has a neat looking formation I can put on both sides that is tall enough to not have that like overlap over the edge of it. And I fear, again, that there's just nothing for that, or very little, very little. There is this, but I don't think this would look very good with the rest of that. I don't know how to rotate it right. So, something like this could work. Oh, I gotta watch my materials again. Tend to do that. That's I gotta pay attention here to what material I'm using. It does add in a extra little thing of complexity when you're building, for sure. But it is quite useful that way. Okay, that's not going to work either. Man, what will work here? I know that can't because there's. I wish there was a block like this that had that like thin block edge on it, kind of like some of these other transition blocks have, like this one or this one or this one. But there isn't. There isn't a block for that. You know, I've been doing some round already on this ship. Didn't want to like focus it all up around being roundy, but it does work. So what if these this rear area was actually set up roundish? Nah, that would look bad. Yeah, everything I'm trying here isn't working out very well. Let's look at this a little differently now. Okay, so we're back to steel. Now that block does work. And the reason why I got this extended up like that is so I could place a turret there. I don't like how this ends though. I just don't like how that ends. It doesn't have a good flow to it. It's kind of like you're doing this and it's just like, nah, boring. So, alright. Let's look at this from a different approach. And yes, when I'm building, I go through a lot of this stuff myself too, and that's why some builds can take a lot longer than others. Depends if I get tripped up trying to figure out an area. But I'm also, I like to work those areas out and don't like to, if there's a part of the ship I don't like, it's going to throw me off for the whole ship. And that is the thing. So I gotta find a way to make it all work. And then once that takes place, then I'm usually a lot happier and everything starts flowing better. Now I could cheat a little bit. Now a lot of people, technically, the rules that I typically follow is I never typically try to put anything over a thruster. Like even if it's any block, like even if it's this. Like you can see the thruster through there. But it doesn't matter. You know, I did that thinking that at some point in time the rules were going to change and that you're going to have open exhaust coming out of the thrusters. And the only known block is that there's just that one great piece that doesn't block air that, you know, I'd use occasionally putting over the thrusters. But in this case, it would be really neat if I could make this look a little prettier. And something like doing what I was just doing there could actually do the job, and offer the thruster a little bit of protection as well. But I'm not like completely blocking it though either, so I don't feel bad. But I wouldn't have done this in the past. The only reason I started doing this is because, well, it didn't seem to ever matter. Man. Then I got this nasty corner over here, so let's get rid of that. Yeah, nasty corner. This is what I'm talking about here. And that's got to be a square block there because that's a big thruster. I know it's certainly taking a long time, isn't it? Okay, so what if that just stuck out the way it is now, and then it actually Oops. And we popped it in that. And one of these again. There we go. Line up. And that could go around the back of the thruster area. There we go. Okay, doesn't quite work with this part though. Okay, so it did all that, and let's say now it's going to angle in. Again, not even sure if I'm going to keep what I got going on here. It's all experimenting though. See, now that lines up again, so this piece kind of builds up all the way around the back side. Not really thrilled about the angles here though. Not really what I was looking for. I kind of almost don't want them to be full-size blocks there either, but there's another missing thin block piece, and that would be like a little 45 angle piece to take that into the same size. So I got to pretty much use this size block if I'm going to make this work somehow. I'm just exploring blocks I could put down the side. So could go with that, but I'm going to have a little problem with that inside trim piece. That's okay, and there is this piece that I could put. Oh man, I'm building out of the wrong material again. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. This is not technically part of the hull. It's just part of a thruster cover. Okay, almost. Except now this angle. Maybe I should just go with the straight up thin blocks here, like that. Alright, now on the inside here, I want to mix this up a little bit too. Let's put in these on the back, so you got a little bevel edge there. Again, something different that you can texture or add in a little trim piece there. And then we got to do something with this area. I don't want it just flat. We've got a thruster. Man, what could be put here? There just isn't a lot of options. And I could try to make it, again, look like there's a little choppiness. But I kind of did something like that over here already. And now I'm just like doing too much of it. Or maybe not. I don't know. The alternative would be like nothing at all. Or maybe the thick version of this that's a little bit see-through. Kind of did more of that in other places, but alright. Trying to get that detail in here. Not so sure I'm sold on that either. I don't like this. I don't like this. It kind of breaks up the flow. This is meh. If I was doing Scar, that would work maybe. But I don't like it here. I think it's time Elion adds some new blocks. That would be really, really nice. Getting the blocks are really exciting for a while, but yeah, you've been there, done that now, and it's been a long time since there's been anything new in regards to like blocks, especially. Not liking anything I do here. What is it about it that? All right. Let's pull those out. Go back to steel, and I'm gonna just kind of cheese this out a little bit. And maybe I'll come back to it. Sometimes when I get so tripped up on an area, it's worthwhile to just move on. And then as you're looking at the ship later on, maybe you'll have this epiphany, which actually does happen quite a bit. At least for me, I'll like look at it later and be like, that's not, yeah, I got this idea now that might work, and then sometimes it does, you know. It's got a little bit more detail there, I guess. All right, well, let's start. I'm going to move on. I don't want to keep on getting tripped up in that one area. So next part here is let's get something going on with the side piece and try to tie this area in together. A lot of these will probably be replaced. These full blocks that I'm popping in for now, I just kind of wanted to get like a base floor in there right now. And then this is like, I'm trying to make this look like a feature, so if I can back that up with blocks on the opposite side to make it like dig in a little bit more, I'll try that. Like what I'm doing right here, using this angled block instead of a full block. And we'll go to, what would I need for this? You know, there's not a block for that either. There really isn't a block for that either. Ah, man, I'm just getting myself really in trouble with this build. Trying to do things that it just doesn't want me to do. Yeah, that's not going to work. This is the this works, it fits, but it's square. And it won't work out right either. Nope, never mind. Scrap that idea too. Yeah, again, it's missing blocks. It's missing blocks to do this kind of thing. So, okay, so I could let's try this again. Let's not go full angle there. Let's just partial angle. We'll angle it up at the bottom only, and that would work like this. Alright, so I've got this body line here, and it kind of tapers in that way to soon maintain that. So now this has got to squish in to that. So let's take the front one here, pop in one of these alt pieces here, and how about a bevel edge to back that one up. One way to do it. Okay, so inside of here, let's put in some super thins, but maybe in a formation. And keep in mind too, I could add windows if I really wanted to in this section. It would work out pretty good. There's a hallway right on the other side of it, so that is a distinct possibility. Don't know if I'll do it or not, but beyond just windows, let's flare it out a little bit too. See if we can make these two blocks work out somehow. Not like that. If I did that, I'll have to come out like to that angle. or just leave it flat on the bottom. Well, let's try. See what happens with this first. Okay, so we could do that, and let's go back to the good old carbon. And what if we ran something like that over that? That's pretty subtle little changes, and I do like to do that as much as I can. Well, depending on the build, I suppose, what style you're going for, but the breakups, I mean, look at all the more stuff you get to texture in here. Oh, what fun. No, I'm not saying texturing is fun. What I am trying to say, though, is the more surface area you can get on your creation, the more texture detail you can potentially add to the creation. So having more breakups, more things, more surface areas exposed, you're adding polygons to your creation, essentially, making it more detailed. It's a weird little transition here, but I kind of like, again, trying to make this look like it's, even this part look like it's a thing, and then that's a thing onto this piece. Not a bad idea. Or maybe it is, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to just go really simple right here. We'll just put in straight up side surface wall of nothingness. And then try to tie in all the rest of this together. Let's do that there. And that here. And then leave that junction between the two chunks. And let's just fill this in. Now, pretty soon I got to start thinking about cargo extensions too. So, usually the way I handle cargo extensions is I don't like, on a build even this size, I don't like any of them exposed to the outer hull. In vanilla, if there is only vanilla, it wouldn't be such a bad thing because the hit points of cargo extensions are about the same as that of regular steel blocks in vanilla, but they're not in Reforged, and that's where you get into trouble. So your best plan would be to not have any exposed to the outer hull if you're trying to, have it protected decently, at least. Oh, that's just a row of thin blocks right there too, huh? There's just a lot of weird things going on here. There's just nothing there either, is there? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a farm plot. Oh, these are farm plots. Ooh, I probably should put those back then. Okay, so this needs steel up in here. So, again, not many options. Go with that for now. And do I try to tie in this piece, this upper area in, so the polygons line up or not? Could be done, but I don't think it will look better. Or really go out of the box and try a curvy here. Could a curvy work? And maybe back up these two, and that's out of formation to this, so that would go away. I did that wrong. These ultra thins, though, I mean, I don't think there's much hit points to this block. Yeah, 469. That's pretty flimsy. Okay, so yeah, I don't mind the round. Kind of breaks that up a little bit more. Except what I don't like is the round sticking out over the block here. No. So I went with that block instead. That fixes that problem. But then that creates a new problem of this weird little edgy thing over here. What I'm trying to do now is just tie in these two so it all fits on the same formation, I guess you could say. And let's go thin there. All right. A little bit further along. All right, so this part here, this isn't cool. This isn't cool yet. Too flattish, too blah. So now, since I've already put in some curves, it wouldn't feel out of place just slapping in some more curves. Usually once you kind of get going with them a little bit, it's not, it starts flowing a little bit better. Oh, wrong material again. So what if it did actually have curves there? Maybe I should put that first block back in. Now up over here, that's a little jagged though. God, it's still jagged. Maybe I need something here. Bring this piece up and flow. Oh, you know what? What this is supposed to have in it? I almost forgot. It was supposed to have side doors to get you in because it doesn't have the normal front like entry door on the part over there. Ah, this could work out. I don't like this jiggy angle I got over here either, so I'm just telling you that right now. But yeah, maybe this is how it's going to work. This will be a door system or door ramp kind of thing. Let's plot that out in a minute. And again, yeah, this video's going to be going on longer. It's amazing how this always works out. That's why it's kind of hard to do some of these videos, these build videos that I do, because sometimes, you know, if the flow goes really good and it's quick, I feel like, okay, that's not so bad. But when I get tripped up on doing these little things can take a long time to do. And even trying to find a door that's metal, that can be a bit too. Okay, there we go. Armored doors, that's what I was looking for. No. Let's see how we can do this. Now the ramps are another thing too. I probably ought to start with the ramp. There we are. And figure out what sizes of these we've got. How far down do I want it to go? Now landing gear are already installed, and they would come out to one block below where we see the current bottom. So this would be the appropriate ramp here. But that looks terrible in the way they stick out if I went with that ramp. Let me grab the old school one. I like these new ones. They look really nice, but a lot of times they don't work out depending on your shaping. If I was to have a just a single ramp on the front, it would work out, but you gotta enclose the whole thing in with blocks, so they cannot afford to do on the side here because there just isn't block space for it. Okay, so whatever ramp I go with, it's got to be oh, that ain't it. It's got to be too tall, which is going to force me to go to this really long ramp. No matter what I want to do, you're gonna have to go with this one, which is all right. That should work out. A little indentation in there. And now, okay, so we'll have our door would have to sit in this position. So we go like that with it, and then we can put something up above there. Something like that. It's alright, but now I almost want to bevel the edges around the door. But that would be really hard to do with the curve. Bottom here, let's get these at first. Am I angling? No, there's the right angle. Let's replace that one too. Oops. What am I doing? I'm rotating it the wrong way. Okay. So there's that, but that looks bad with these. So, okay. That kind of works out. I'm not sure, so sure I like the curve there anymore. Okay, well. Okay, so this jaggy part I didn't like. Just don't like the combination of blocks I'm using here. Just like this part's okay, it's straight. I don't mind that. What was the real bad part about the back, though? It's like it should end before it gets there, though. I think I was just dragging it out too far. And now the formation's off, so let's downsize the curves a little bit so I can keep it in a better formation. Alright. This area here. Well, this part now. Alright, you know what? Gonna have to get rid of those again. So I can keep the body lines right. Well, I think that should work. I'm gonna have the same problem as normal. Very little room to add lights or sensors or anything in the area. That happens often, but there's usually a way to work around that. And just trying to see if I can get some additional trim around here, if anything would work out. And there's not, again, very limited options for something like this. Just exploring ideas. I don't like what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't like that flat surface there, which doesn't have to actually stay that way, does it? Could do that on that side, but not the other side, because this block interferes with it. Ah. Alright. That's just a bit too much. Maybe try some super thin. I can't do the doubles, so we gotta do the not super thins. I won't do much of anything, will it? Well, hold on. I don't know if it'll be appropriate for the build. Oh, there's not a part for that either. I can't do a half thin roundy thing like that, or even a straight one. Never mind on that too. Can anything at all fit here? Anything at all? I don't think so. I just don't think so. Alright, scrap that idea too. Oh, and that can't go at that. No. Alright, never mind. I give up. It just wasn't meant to have anything there, I guess. It's just nothing's gonna work. Alright, well, anyway. Man, last part. Let's try to get this corner wrapped up here too. I really wanted to try to get the hull finished. That was my, my objective and goal, but I've taken a little long with some of these parts here. Now let's just do that. Yeah, this is really generic here. I have to try to reinvent this part. Maybe I'll do that off screen, and the next time I show it, I can get busy with other parts of this. Well, that ain't much there. Again, very boring. It is 3x3. Though, which is kind of a magic number for Empyrion on mounting turrets. Except I don't want a turret right on the hangar door either. That wouldn't be too cool. Well, hey, you know what? Let's just take this part and have an angle all the way back up in here. Throw in a couple of these. And you're nasty squarey, so let's get rid of those blocks and bubble this like one of those and some of these. Just flip that around now. And then in the corner, I pretty much gotta use this block like that. Get some generic floor on here. Again, when I do the bottom too, I'll be swapping out most of these blocks to add in patterns. I would say just patterns into the bottom of it. So again, just like everything else, so you can texture it and add more detail to the bottom side. You know, something else I want to get rid of too is the starter block thing. Let's throw a temporary core in here somewhere. Okay, starter block. All right. One thing I do like, though, is I know the interior is going to work out in the end. It's along a little further, but there's a lot of problems I want to work out yet before I'll be happy with it. Areas of concern, don't like my block shaping here. I'm still not super sold on the block shaping throughout this section and the section I just kind of went over. I'll keep on trying to come up with a better design for these pieces, these areas here. I don't mind the intake, but maybe the intake should be in back. I don't know. And it's a little curvy. I kind of wanted to like tone it down a little bit, like it's too big. But I'm not sure. And then other little things of concern too. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things to work out yet, but I would say for the most part, besides doing like little tweaky stuff on the bottom of it, especially now that I added those blocks, the hull is pretty much complete. But it just needs a lot of tweaking. It needs a lot of detailing, tweaking, and texturing, and some of the aesthetics are, they're not on. They're not on yet. I know it. I know it. Everything could look better. These rear thrusters could look better. The sides could look better. Some of these other trim areas could look better. So I'll keep on trying to like work those things out. And and get that. In the next video, I'll try to move forward and actually get going with working on the interior. Hopefully, I'll have the rest of the hull to my liking prior to that. But basically, seeing the process and the steps on how I went about building this. It does help having reference material, like I put a lot of time into figuring out the specs of these other starter CVs. How many thrusters and how much CPU can it use and how big should it be and blah blah blah. And they all came out very close to the same, like between the Wayfarer, the MCRN Pioneer, and the Kriel Shade. Spec wise, they're all like right around the same CPU, right around the same size class. They fluctuate a little bit in features. Like this one's the best for carrying a lot of other ships with you and stuff like that. The MCRN Pioneer is kind of like the middle of the road, so it's got a little bit more armament than this one does, but not quite as much interior space. The Kriel try to go with a little bit more armament yet and experimental mining things, which I screwed up because these mining drill locations wouldn't work out very good actually, and a little bit more storage. So it's just like it all depends. It all depends. The Wayfarer is the probably the biggest of the three on the interior space thing because it's the most boxy of the three, quite frankly. This one is boxy more or less, but it's thin. It's not as thick as the other one. I kind of wanted to tone it down, but it needs work, man. This one needs a bunch of work right now. So anyway, y'all have yourself a good day. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm trying to show you what goes into building, and it's like, yeah, I've done a lot of builds, but stuff still takes a while. It really does. Some builds, if you get really lucky, and every block you place is like, yeah, I love it. That for me, that's rare. The only design I managed to pull that off on, and I think I got one parked around here, is the MX5. This one was literally, I think, the only build to date that every block I placed, when I got done with it, in like literally like the whole design of this in like 45 minutes, I was just like, I don't want to change anything. I like every block the way it is, and I left it. But that is, like, I swear, to this day, probably the only build I had that kind of luck on. Every other build, just keep working it until you like it, and put whatever time you got to put into it to make that happen. At least that's the way I try to look at it. Unless you're totally burned out and just want to get it done. That's not a good way to go, though. Anyway, y'all have yourself a good day. I'll talk to you later.